Okay, well, I'm back to create some more content, as it were. Been a few days, so figured I'd go ahead and knock some things out. Been making a list of topics to discuss, ideas for uh, new videos going forward, and figured it was time to act on it. Um, in general, things are a little more situated for me right now. The last few days, uh, excuse me, trying to get reacclimated to the day job and keep up with the eBay, which is intermittently yielding some fruits, um, enough to remain afloat. Uh, been trying to rest while also engaging my mind as much as possible. I've been finding some new perspectives on a lot of the stuff that was tormenting me in December and first few days of this month. So, coming to some better conclusions, I think, some clearer conclusions. So, much needed clarity, much needed self preservation. Um, I wanted to thank all the new subscribers. I had posted on my Facebook that I was losing subscribers. Uh, I'd lost a handful, and I wasn't really sure why. I didn't know if I was being too blunt or too off-putting with some of my rather, blunt opinions on things, which I've really been kind of easing into those. I really uh, am a lot more opinionated about a lot of things than I have come across on these videos so far. At least like weighty, real life things, so to speak, that impact not only me but really like all of society, all of humanity. Things that weigh on my mind, um, cause me a bit of distress, trigger my anxiety. I don't just mean the predictable things like COVID. That's on everyone's mind. I mean, does anyone really like wearing these ridiculous masks? Don't get me wrong, I wear them as needed, as mandated and required by my job and social contract. Uh, but they're pretty ridiculous. I just mean the whole concept, the whole construct of uh, I don't know. You go through life trying to be mindful of your appearance and how you present yourself, and this has pretty much killed that for everyone. Um, and that may seem like a petty complaint compared to you know people being sick, people dying. I hear those arguments on uh, social media daily. No one, well, at least I'm not saying, don't do it, do what's needed to keep everyone healthy and safe. But I think it's healthy to question everything. Um, and too often of late, especially in the last week or so, I see large numbers of people questioning less and accepting more of things that aren't in their best interests. They're not really in anyone's best interest except the motherfuckers who are making money off of all of us and our misery. Still no adequate healthcare plan in the middle of a global pandemic. That doesn't seem to be a priority for the ruling class. I keep getting that one too. There are leaders. There are leaders. No, they're in a duly elected democracy, which we really don't have, but pay lip service to. Um, we don't have leaders. There are servants. We're the leaders. The people are the leaders. And more people are losing sight of that daily in frightening amounts, falling victim to insane reactionary uh, viewpoints that are really just, they're not coming from a place of genuineness, from information, from free thought, from processing what's the evidence of their own senses, but what they're being told to think or believe, words that they cling on to, and they're someone else's words. They're not anything organic, you know. They're just a script, a narrative. And if you, for one instant, go against the narrative, then you're persona non grata. You suddenly, in many people's eyes, lose the ability uh, to have an opinion, to comment, to discourse, to shake things up a little bit, to provoke, to contemplate, to provoke thought, ideas. Um, and so a consensus is not going to be reached. You're going to have the people who uphold the narrative, even if it's against everything they know in their heart to be empirical reality and what's good for them on a beneficial human progressive level. And then the people who are going to question and continue to think for themselves, to agitate for better conditions for everyone. And it seems like the latter are losing the cultural battle in America. I didn't mean to go so far into this. Believe me, I'd like to go much further. And to be honest, I'm contemplating ways in which to do this and still make, not in this video, but going forward, and still remain a somewhat palatable channel, and also without getting, dumped off YouTube for having the wrong opinions. Um, it's a disturbing time. 2020 is behind us, and it was a horrible year. This year isn't beginning very promisingly. It seems like instead of a respite or reprieve from all of this madness that swept us all up last year, things beyond our control, um, we're still being swept along by the tide. We're actually we're actually paying more dues, more misery is being yielded from the suffering of others and the confusion and the rapid changes that we have no control over, that are dictated by elected officials. Not, I will not call them leaders. They do not lead me. And talking heads, pundits in the media. The gatekeepers of propriety, the narrative, as we say. Some of us say, people who read into these things and see a lot of this for what I believe it is. I could be wrong, but I don't think I'm any more wrong than people who make gods of, or at very least, uh, ludicrous celebrities out of people who determine our fate, our health care, our environment, send people off to kill and be killed, and to annihilate other countries in actual insurrections and coups that leave many dead, and our entire governments destabilized, entire cultures victims of crime and poverty and slavery in this day and age. None of that's happened in America yet. It's a more insidious form of slavery that the oligarchs kind of visit upon their own citizenry. It's a mind war, a culture war, maybe an invisible war, a war with minimum of bloodshed and overt suffering in real time. Things for the media to grab onto and salivate over, like the gladiatorial arena. But it's happening. It's been happening for decades, and this is the kind of thing that has been informing my story, Flicker Street, for decades. Except now, real life, what we live in, this empirical reality, this consensus reality that we share, which could all be, as some in the East might say, is all Maya, like in Holy Mountain. Pull the camera back, it's all illusion. This is the reality that's been determined for us because we haven't taken it into our own hands to determine our reality, and that's it's unfortunate. It's a failing on the part of the American people and of humanity in general, and the wrong people are trying to take the power back for the wrong reasons, but that doesn't discredit the idea that the power needs to be taken back. It's time to break all this up, man. It's time to break up the corporations, the banks. This whole way of life predicated on money and power and war and death and poverty and inequality. It needs to end. And it is coming to an end, but those gatekeepers of the old ways are fighting as hard as they can with their dying, ancient, gnarled talons to hold on to every scrap of that power they can. They're not going to give it to us. They're not going to give it to us. Asking politely isn't going to work. It has to be taken by force of either physical force or at least the force of will. And so many of these, leaders who are supposedly on the people's side, they lack all will. They themselves profit and benefit from the same system. It keeps everyone else enslaved. So what's their impetus to fight for us? I'm tempted to name names, but I'm not going to go that far in this particular video, but I can think of quite a few who have claimed to be on, our side, who haven't done a damn thing to save any American lives or human lives in the middle of a global pandemic and untold, unprecedented levels of social and economic inequality in the history of the world. Yeah, some leaders. Keep calling them that, though. They love the flattery. They love the power, the attention, the sympathy. They're not heroes. Quite the contrary, really. Anyway, that's enough of my grim reflections on the past couple of weeks of disasters, albeit oblique, but still, I hope maybe you get the message. I'm sure I'm going to be misunderstood by some and it's understood and embraced by others, and that's kind of the chance you take by having a platform, whatever it is, however small it is, for as ever long they're going to allow us, the big tech monopolies and monstrosities, which are allowing us to converse like this. They're very keenly aware of what they believe is okay. Is of what speech is free, of what views are protected, and they're winnowing it down daily. to a more and more narrow set of parameters for us. They're doing it for us and to us, and we're culpable. So that's my discourse for the moment. I'm really in a pretty good mood, but to be honest, it's just grim topics and a little bit of clarity. I'm becoming re-radicalized yet again. Seems to happen every, few months, every year, every couple of years. It has for decades now of my life, and sometimes I go astray. Sometimes I become complacent. We all do. Sometimes I become accustomed to settling for less. Um, Sometimes I lose sight of certain things. But then there's always something horrible that happens that makes me think I've been kind of on the right path all this time. And within, I still am. I'm just one of those people, one of those stubborn, hard-headed people who's going to remain anti-authoritarian and unmoved by, attempts to control my thoughts or my words. I'm just too damn stubborn, I guess. I'm just too damn rebellious. I always have been. But I consider those things profound strengths, not weaknesses. I like thinking for myself. I like being an individual. I despise the idea of it being taken away from me. So, I guess if I could title this video and wrap a theme around it, it would be, what is freedom? Pretty open-ended question, but one that seems to have a lot of answers right now being thrown in there to fill the yawning void, and many of them are very contradictory. So think about it. What is freedom? What's freedom for you? What's your freedom? What's your limits of absolute freedom that you're willing to live by, or perish forbid if you have to fight for? A fight doesn't have to be an armed insurrection. Fight can be up here, where it all begins, where all freedom resides ultimately, is in our mind and our spirit. Wow, so I've gotten a bit heavy here, but like I said, I'm in a pretty decent mood. I've been spending the last few days away from the video arena, the Videodrome, making notes of discussion topics. This general area where I'm at now is one that's kind of sneaked up on me in the last few days. There's something that, things that I need to address. I feel I need to address. I'm not sure what good will come of it as far as anyone, feeling receptive to these ideas. Not really trying to influence anyone. Though these, I think, are things that people could stand to think about. Fact is, I'm not an influencer, for better or worse. Some people, I guess, are using this platform, this format to do that. Like I said, for better or worse. And the people who are wielding the most influence and actually managing to sway minds right now are not the people on my level. They're the people with the big bucks, the big tech, and the titles, the leaders, and they're succeeding. So some of us may feel like we have no choice but to counter it with some truth. Wow. This could be a really deep rabbit hole in which to go down. But I'm kind of about to that point. I've lost enough in this world and this life. People, things, uh, not all people and things. Animals don't fit under either of those. Things that I love, living and unliving. Um, don't want to lose the last shred of idealism that I have left. Um, I refuse. I refuse to just give in and let myself be told what to do by anyone. I can make those decisions myself for what's good for me and what isn't. I've had enough practice in the world of mental illness over the years to kind of be able to figure out what's healthy for me and what's not. And at my age, temporally and within, I have a pretty good handle on it. And the things that we're being sold and taught to accept are not things that are healthy for me. I don't know if they're healthy for any living being who really cherishes life above death, joy above pain, security above fear and confusion. Who knows? So, what is freedom? I'm just going to leave it at that and move on to the next video, which will have a different theme. Went into this one kind of blind, but stuff's been bubbling up to the surface within me, and I guess I had to at least exorcise some of it in this format, this medium, on this platform, while we still have such platforms. Maybe that sounds paranoid. Maybe not. I don't know. Time will tell. So thanks for listening, and I'll be back if I record some more tonight on some other topics of less overt weight. And I appreciate you listening as always. Thank you. Take care and stay free.